What's up, family? So, Justin Trudeau is a weak leader in Canada who is trying to move the goalposts instead of facing the reality that Canadians see him as a weak leader not acting on the behalf of the best interest for Canada. Just like we Americans got tired of the hypocrites like Joe Biden, who said his administration would be the most transparent, then pardons his son after he said no one was above the law, then moved forward in doing so. Not only that, but ignorance of not even acknowledging their weak progressive mindsets of how they don't see illegal immigrants coming across the border benefiting off the backs of the tax dollars from the American people, where this behavior of housing, providing EBT, or to keep it short, food stamps, and unloading cars of cash in sanctuary cities like Chicago, New York, in which Mayor Eric Adams switched his tune, which he once was having New York as a sanctuary city, but since after Joe Biden wouldn't even look his way when it came to more funding to house these illegal immigrants who were sleeping in the New York Police Department police stations in New York, and Venezuelan gangs taking over housing developments of hardworking Americans who pay rent in a complex that's considered their home in Colorado. But I want you guys to watch this video and I'll add more context.
President-elect Trump got elected on a commitment to make life better and more affordable for Americans. And I think people south of the border are beginning to wake up to the reality that tariffs on everything from Canada would make life a lot more expensive for Americans. So that's part of the argument. The other part is we will, of course, as we did 8 years ago, respond to unfair tariffs in a number of ways. And we're still looking at the right ways to respond. But our responses to the unfair steel and aluminum tariffs were what ended up lifting those tariffs last time. It wasn't that Americans were paying more for their steel and aluminum, although that was annoying to some people in the States. It was the fact that we put tariffs on bourbon and Harley Davidsons and playing cards and Heinz ketchup and cherries and a number of other things that were very carefully targeted because they were politically impactful to the president's party and colleagues, was how we were able to punch back in a way that was actually felt by Americans.
Well, family, so Joe Biden was weak in leading our country, and now Canadians see their leader, Justin Trudeau, just as weak, where he is trying to blame tariffs on things he put on the United States in regards to Harley Davidson, you guys heard, Heinz ketchup and cherries, to be politically impactful, and how he's trying to find a way to punch back at the United States to excuse his weak leadership, like he didn't run to Mar-a-Lago to President-elect Trump and beg him in Florida when Trump posed tariff threats, but he is shaking in his boots deep down. But however, he tends to hope to continue to spread opium. Check this out.
Sure. And my only request for everyone is to be really thoughtful and go into the choices you make with eyes wide open. I think there's a number of folks in different countries, and I won't point out any particular one, where folks are going to be wondering about the choice they may be made in elections. Let's not be that kind of country in Canada. Let's be deliberate about the choices we make. If we want to stop fighting climate change, we want to re-legalize assault-style weapons, we want to put back into question women's rights, we want to scrap $10 a day childcare across the country and stop delivering free dental care to vulnerable seniors, then in a democracy, that's a choice people can make. Get rid of the CBC, too. That's a choice people can make. But let's take on the responsibility as electors, as thoughtful agents of change in our communities, to be smart about, no matter how much we want change, let's not fall into an easy trap of voting for change for the worse. Canadians deserve better, and I know they're going to pick it.
Well, folks, Trump will impose a 25% tax on all products entering U.S. unless Canada stop the flow of migrants and drugs. Justin Trudeau is cowarding like everything is okay, saying Americans need us for steel and aluminum, and we are the top source by lying to fellow Canadians. That's why people not rocking with him over there, and he's running for re-election. But his opponent, instead of being a hypocrite um, and making things seem fantastic when the average Canadian is suffering, had something else to say in regards to what he said. Check this out.
In an interview this morning, Donald Trump again floated the idea of Canada becoming the 51st state of the United States. Are you concerned that the president-elect repeatedly brings up this idea of annexing our country?
Well, the bottom line is that Justin Trudeau is a weak leader and gains no respect from countries all around the world. Canada should have a strong, smart leader with the brains and backbone to put our country first. And that's what I will do. We will have common sense conservatives will put Canada first. We will remove the crippling taxes and debt that have weakened our country under Trudeau. We will unleash the production of our resources to make ourselves more economically independent. We will rebuild our military and secure our borders, and we will go into negotiations with our American friends in a position of strength rather than weakness. Canada will be independent, strong, and proud. Our flag, the maple leaf, will fly proudly again over our country.
Well, family, doesn't this sound familiar? Justin Trudeau imposing high taxes on Canadians, Americans having high property taxes and taxes as a whole in sanctuary cities, seeking funding to keep housing illegal immigrants, like in Chicago with Mayor Brandon Johnson, giving out money for proxy wars, increasing inflation, like Joe Biden, which he recently, and check out this video next, Joe Biden is giving away $20 billion to Ukraine. And it's $30 billion altogether, but $10 billion would be for other countries and $20 billion would be for coming from the US to fund Ukraine. But the point I'm making is Biden shutting down the Keystone Pipeline also, where Americans is not in control into leading gas to be so high and high sales tax. Canada is experiencing their own version of Joe Biden, who is Justin Trudeau. And strong. So the thing I'm trying to say is, in seeking out a Trump, Canada is doing, just like Canadians and Canada are experiencing the same thing we have. And they are seeking out a Trump, just like the conversation, the opponent here, we heard of removing crippling taxes and debt in Canada and strong military. Just message to average Canadians with solutions and at peace with the United States and so forth, he said. So people just want solutions, upholding the best interests of the people. So Canada is going in the same direction as our election in America with Trump saving America. And I want you guys to check out Trump as he was questioned about the border and if he was really serious about tariffs. And I mentioned on purpose why he would impose, or the purpose of why Donald Trump said he would impose a 25% tax on Canada and Mexico. Because Mexico president, she already has stopped the caravans, but I want you guys to check out what Trump said in regards of the tax towards Canada.
Are you actually going to impose these tariffs, or are they a negotiating tactic?
Well, I'll give you an example. With Canada, and in particular Mexico, we have millions of people pouring into our country. You agree with that? I spoke with I spoke with Justin Trudeau. In fact, he flew to Mar-a-Lago within about 15 seconds after the call ended. Yeah. He was at Mar-a-Lago. We were having dinner talking about it. I said, you have to close up your borders because they're coming in the northern border too a lot. Not like the southern border, but they're coming in the Canadian border a lot. And drugs are pouring in. Almost as importantly, drugs are pouring in, maybe more importantly, drugs are pouring in at levels never seen before, 10 times what we had. They're just pouring in. We can't have open borders. And I said to the president of Mexico and to Justin Trudeau, if it doesn't stop, I'm going to put tariffs on your country at about 25%.
See, man, Trump, I just love to say with Trump and JD Vance, the grown-ups are back in office. They're already executing from Florida and people flying to Mar-a-Lago. You heard him say Justin Trudeau shaking in his boots, flew to Mar-a-Lago, and he's not even in the White House. Both countries faced chaos from an economic and citizens' public safety standpoint. And Trump is not only setting the tone to drain the swamp and redirect our country in the right direction, but getting these other countries in line from a negotiation standpoint. Joe Biden, they ain't even talking to him. And these other countries was having their way. But to establish strength, you have to display strength through action. But before I show this video, I want to show you guys this joke after Justin Trudeau's comments of jokingly calling Canada a state. As it reads, Trump says, it was a pleasure to have dinner the other night with Governor Justin Trudeau of the great state of Canada. I look forward to seeing the governor again soon so that we may continue our debt talks on tariffs and trade, the result of which we will be truly spectacular for all. So there you have it. And it says, I guess that stands for Justin Trudeau. I know the JT. I don't know, the Democrat Justin Trudeau. We could go over there, I guess. But the point is, what I'm trying to get at is Trump shows he means what he says and says what he means. Well, with no further ado, family, I want you guys to check out this video next, okay?
We're subsidizing Canada to the tune of over $100 billion a year. We're subsidizing Mexico for almost $300 billion. We shouldn't be subsidizing. Why are we subsidizing these countries? If we're going to subsidize them, let them become a state. We're subsidizing Mexico, and we're subsidizing Canada, and we're subsidizing many countries all over the world. We're subsidizing Canada.
So there you have it. And see what I learned from Justin Trudeau, Kamala Harris, Joe Biden, is they like to play sides by being for criminals, but also being for the people, which it not only damages the countries, and they're so flip-floppy that their leadership is weak within, which is why you guys see how destructive they are within their leadership, but also it does more damage within the country. But I find this interesting because not only does Justin Trudeau sound weak, but it was an interesting individual. The Canada deputy prime minister echoed the same weakness as Justin Trudeau. Check this out.
Donald Trump this morning posted that he had a nice dinner with Justin Trudeau from the great state of Canada on Meet the Press this weekend. He also bandied about the same idea that Canada could join the U.S. How do you plan to negotiate with someone who doesn't seem to be taking Canada seriously right now?
I am really clear about Canada. I know how lucky I am to be Canadian. I know what a great country we live in. And without, being appropriately Canadian, nice to other countries, I want to say Canada is the greatest country in the world. I'm very clear on that. All of us are very clear on that.
Mr. Trump brought this up at the dinner with the Prime Minister. He's now subsequently made references to this 3 times. Do you think he's actually serious about this idea of Canada joining the U.S.?
Mackenzie, that is a question really for the president-elect. I'm going to leave it at that.
Well, there you have it, folks. I find it very, very hilarious because she's like, oh, I'm proud to be a Canadian, but the Canadians aren't proud of Canada. They aren't proud of your leadership. And you're proud to be a Canadian in your bubble while average Canadians suffer constantly, and they don't seem too proud of the direction in which the country has gone in. So the majority isn't proud. You're proud because out of ignorance of the mindset you have that you have done no wrong, even at the cost of your leadership that's actually oozing out of ignorance and destruction, basically making the whole country disintegrate, oozing out before your eyes, trickling down to the Canadian citizens. And I hope they get these people out of here. Justin Trudeau, I hope they get her out of here, the deputy prime minister, because it's just ridiculous. But lastly, I want to talk about the carbon tax, right? Justin Trudeau and his carbon tax. I don't know what type of basic math class this man took, and this is why support is dwindling, and I will show you guys the facts in the article. But he's basically trying to give a solution for an ignorant problem he created, which Democrats are known for this here in the United States. I know inflation is high, and I'll give you $25,000 for the first home-time buyer in Kamala Harris terms in her campaign she ran on, in which she lost gladly. I'm happy. I'm happy she took the L. She's not taking it too well, but I don't care. And what she talked about, that $25,000 first home-time buyer, which that money giving will just raise the cost of living and make the American dream of buying a home way out of touch. But I want you guys to check this video out.
But if you're a middle-class family, and if you're living in rural areas, we give a 20% top-up because we know you have to drive further to go to school, to drop to school or work. We're giving you that money back. And if you make a decision that reduces the amount of fuel you have to buy, you get a heat pump, for example, where there's a great program to get heat pumps that we're doing across Atlantic Canada, you actually keep more of that $800 that we're sending you because the carbon price will only cost you $700 or $600 or $500 a year. So it's a way of fighting climate change that puts money back in the pockets of people who are on the front lines doing that fighting, ordinary families. That's the policy. And it just took me 4 minutes to explain it to all of you. And in politics these days, we don't have 4 minutes nearly often enough.
You don't have 4 minutes, but you have seconds to take money from the Canadian citizens. So taxes on fighting climate change. So tax. As Canadian has the highest tax rate, but the solution to everything is tax more. And you're constantly slamming fellow Canadians to death instead of doing what's best. You bunker down on local tax-paying Canadians like they aren't already paying enough to fuel your ignorance. But if you guys don't believe that Canadians aren't really rocking with this fool, who already to me does frivolous spending and doesn't utilize the money in the right way for the best interest of Canadians, I don't even think he knows what he's doing. He's not in China. So you're taxing to fight climate change. So this is greed to me, because how is you receiving the money? How are you being effective in making sure that the climate change is going in the right direction? But he said he don't have 4 minutes, or in politics, he tried to generalize it to excuse his ignorance, to not even be transparent with the Canadian people. We don't have 4 minutes. Oh, you better have all the time, because you're a public official and official in a public sector getting paid by the people, elected by the people, as you are for the people. Okay? But no longer. Check this out, family. Pierre, the Conservative Party, is currently leading by 22 points, ahead of Justin Trudeau, Liberal Party. If a federal election were held today, 43% of Canadians who will vote for the Conservative Party of Canada, while 21% would vote for Justin Trudeau's Liberal Party. So only 21%. So think about that. It's like 71% of Canadians that's not rocking with this guy, Justin Trudeau. Right? And there continues to be significant dissatisfaction, as I read, with Justin Trudeau government among Canadians. Almost 7 out of 10 Canadians, 69%, are dissatisfied, while only 26% say they are currently satisfied. Pierre is still perceived as the best candidate for prime minister at 31%. Meanwhile, only 15% see Justin Trudeau as the best prime minister at 2-point decrease from last month. You guys got my take. Don't take my word for it. You guys see. And I'm happy that Canada is going in the right direction, as American has, and voting the right people in and moving these fools out that are doing or executing on the behalf of the people. And I believe Pierre is the best pick for them in the Conservative Party, as they're going more conservative, because people want real solutions and they want to exercise common sense. They need law and order. Because if you don't believe me, I can look it up real quick. Canadians actually rock with Trump. With Trump border outlook on it. I'm just fast typing. Don't judge me, okay? Let me see if I can find this real quick. Canadian. That support Trump border. Let me see if I can find this real quick, people. Okay, here we go. All right. Canadians agree. Let me zoom in real quick. Canadians agree with Trump on border. Lack confidence in Trudeau on tariffs poll. The lack of confidence was prevalent across the country in rural and urban areas, in every age group, and among both men and women. Justin Trudeau may have had a positive meeting with the U.S. president-elect last week in Mar-a-Lago, but Canadians' confidence in his ability to handle Trump is low. A majority of Canadians also agreed with President-elect that Canada should take significant measures to increase border security. Just 29% of the poll's respondents believe Trump's concerns about the illegal immigrants and drug trafficking from Canada to U.S. are unwarranted. So the public safety concern is not just with the American people and also securing the border, but it's also with Canadians. But let me know your guys' thoughts down in the comments below. Give this video a big thumbs up. I hope you guys enjoy. With no further ado, peace.